Don McCabe, director of the AVKO Educational Research Foundation, has spent 40 years studying the quirks in the English language and looking for ways to guide dyslexics through them. Dyslexics can learn to read well. Don McCabe has been there, learned that, and teaches it. Josiah is 17 years old and hasn't yet learned to read above a 7th grade level. His school in Mississippi says that he is a dyslexic with a severe learning disability. And his school, like most schools, don't have a program to teach dyslexics to read.
Well, I've always, had trouble, obviously, with reading and spelling ever since kindergarten, but they just kind of thought maybe, I just needed to grow up a little bit, and so they kind of just let me alone, and it was probably about 7 years ago that it started kind of, okay, now I can't do this yet, what's wrong? So that's when we started looking around and trying to figure this thing out.
His parents weren't looking for excuses. They were looking for the right teacher. They looked on the World Wide Web and found McCabe, a dyslexic who has written more than 40 books. In the middle of winter, they sent Josiah to Birch Run, Michigan for 6 weeks of daily tutoring. This is how it began.
Earlier today, when we were talking about your being a dyslexic, I gave a short explanation about dyslexia, and that it has nothing to do with intelligence. In fact, dyslexics, like you, tend to be very, very logical and actually believe things that they're taught. And I'm going to demonstrate to you. Now, earlier you could not read this word. Can you read it now? Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the problems with our English language, and the very next time you see that word written, you will read it correctly and almost instantaneously. You believe me? I don't think so. Okay. Now, one of the things that you have been taught about our English language that is wrong, that is absolutely not correct, is that it goes from left to right. Well, now what is true is languages like Spanish, they go left to right. Russian goes left to right. English, yeah, somewhat, but not letter for letter. Now let's start out, for example, with the very shortest word in our English language. Now then, this is the letter A, but it is the word Very good. It is Now if we put an M in front of we don't get ma, we get ma. But what is true about our language? Any little word ending in the letter A is always an ah word, whether it is ma or it's pa, or still re mi fa, so la. We can get that L in there. That's always true. No, well, best laid plans of mice and men. That's gang of glay. We gotta get it right here. There we go. Now, let's go back to ma. Look what happens to this sound of this letter when we add the letter G. All of a sudden it's mag. Mag. If you first say ma, you can't get to mag if your mouth forms that. Now, what is true in our language is any word ending in AG is an ag word, 100% perfect. Whether it's lag, or flag, or rag, or drag, or mag, or sag, playing tag, all the AG words are ag. But We got a little problem here. If we add another letter, have you ever seen that word before? No, that's my question is, have you ever seen that word before? Well, remember earlier today I said, thou shalt not lie. There it is, on this table, the modern magi. Mm-hmm. The three wise men. Okay. Magi. Now let's take a look. Now in our language, we have several types of words. But basically, we'll start out the main two. And those are what I call the simple words, which our language started with. In England, it was settled by a whole bunch of Germanic tribes. And each tribe had a little different language. And so what happened is that they ended up having a pidgin language. A pidgin German is what our original, very, very old English was. And they dropped these big endings, and it's like the me, Jane, you, Tarzan type of thing. We now have one syllable words, like pick, run, jump, play, laugh, all one syllable words. Okay. Now we have a set of phonics for the one syllable words, like pick. The ick sound is I-C-K, right? Nick, I-C-K. But what happens when we have a picnic? The K's disappear, and we end up with P-I-C, N-I-C. We cannot reduce picnic to either pick or nick. The words that kids are taught in the first 3 years of school are almost all these little storytelling words. Run, jump, play, house, horse. When they get up to the 4th grade, we run into curriculum words. Words that came into our language from the Latin, from the Greek, from the French, from the German. And they have more than one syllable. Now you can take a big word like fish, or a little word like fish, and make it a big word like fisherman. But the meaning of fisherman you can reduce to the one meaningful unit, fish. Now, let's see. I'll demonstrate this right here with the word, or the sound, resh. Right? That's resh. And you can pronounce it. Now I can use put an F there. We have fresh, right? We can put an R-E in front of that and get refresh. M-E-N-T, get a refreshment, add an S, refreshments, right? Mm-hmm. But that's still what I call a simple word because it's based on the meaning of fresh. In which case, the phonics are regular. The sh sound is spelled S-H, and this is what you've been taught. You've been taught that the sh sound in fish is spelled F-I-S-H, or it is S-H in fish, right? Mm-hmm. And you can read a little word like ship. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something up here. Almost everybody who comes here, I ask them if they can read this sound. And they shake their heads, and I say, the people who can read. Actually, you can, but you don't know why you can. That is the sound tish. And that is the only way we spell the sound tish in big words. But we don't teach in schools that the T-I is a digraph for the shun sound, as in the word petition. Or we could make it repetition, competition, The T-I-O-N is shun. Now, you were taught shun, but you were never taught that the ending O-N is un, and the T-I digraph is pronounced sh. You will not find a basic or a basal reader in the United States that teaches that. So you can't blame yourself for not knowing. Okay? This, by the way, is the only way we spell the sound fish. George Bernard Shaw, to the contrary notwithstanding, he tried to say that you just spell fish G-H-O-T-I. Except there's no word in our English language that ends T-I being pronounced sh. Here we have like a word, official. That's how we spell official. But have I seen students spell official many different ways, and quite often with an SH in it. Big words, the sound sh is almost never, ever spelled with an SH. It's either spelled with a TI, as in repetition, a CI, as in official or beneficial, and that should be sufficient to make my point. And here, that's the only way we spell the sound mish, except in Michigan, and then we use a CH for the sh sound, as in a word that is in your reading vocabulary, mission, as in permission, commission, submission. Okay? There's many ways of spelling the sh sound, but those are the three common ways in big words. Okay? Now let's show something else that you've been taught. You've been taught that the us sound is spelled this way. And you can read us, and you can read us. That's right. And I would imagine that you can even read that nasty little word, pus, and put an L in, and we get plus. Yeah, okay. Now you've been taught that O-U is pronounced ow, as in out. And that's right. It is. In little one-syllable words. And whether it's pout, or spout, or scout, or make it a little bigger and have scouting add an ing, but the base is just one syllable. Now, what they don't teach in schools is that the most common way of spelling the sound us in big words is not U.S. Would you believe it's O-U-S? How many words do you think end in an O-U-S in our language? More than 10?
Probably.
More than 25?
Most likely.
More than 100?
Okay.
You think more than 100?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. More than 150. What's your guess?
Okay. I'll say 500.
You're the first one that's ever come up that high, and you're pretty close to the actual number. Now I'm going to show you something. And this came as a result, and this is why, for example, schools don't know some of these things. It's because they do not know the existence of this book, The Patterns of English Spelling. Born out of my ignorance and stubbornness. I was so ignorant, I thought I could take the English language, and I can show this here. Just look on this page. I'm going to cover up the beginnings, and you can see all these words that end O-U-S, us. All of these words, us. These are all us words. Almost about 52 a page. Us. us. Every one of them, a different us word. O-U-S. Are we ever going to end, huh? Us. Us. Now, don't get nervous. I'm not going to have you read them all, okay? There's a tremendous number, and they're not taught. Now, something about our language is that we have certain sounds that occur regularly at the ends of words. One of them is the shus sound. And there's not one word in our language that ends S-H-U-S. You can run through the dictionary, run any program. You can't even find precious. Although I have found precious misspelled this way many, many times. The sound shus, the most common sound of shus, well, that's because it is the CI digraph is used for the sh. Now, that's kind of strange, because what you've been taught in our language, and you have learned that the C has two pronunciations. K as in cat, and S as in city. But you've never been taught in big words the letters CI have the sound of sh. And I really feel that it is very, very crucial that dyslexics be taught that the shul sound is C-I-A-L. Whether it's in a word like crucial or a word like special, not S-H-U-L. But the C-I is the sh sound. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now watch. Let's put the C-I in front of the us. Now that gives us shus. Right? So if I put in, let's say, an A in front of that, that would be acious, right?
Mm-hmm. Gracious.
Gracious, right. Absolutely right. Acious.
Spacious.
Spacious is absolutely right. Spacious. Mm-hmm. And I can give you a big word that not many people know the meaning of. That would be
Dacious.
which is not a word. But if we put men in front of it, whoops.
Mendacious.
Mendacious, yes. Or dacious and put the aw sound in front of it.
Audacious.
Audacious. Mm-hmm. The shus is so easy. If we have ishes, just like when we have official, ish, spelled I-C-I. Ish, ishes.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is this word?
Vicious.
Vicious, right. And we have, well, I can put a...
Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Delicious, right. If this would be licious, and this would be an alicious. Good. Mm-hmm.
Malicious.
Malicious. What did I say?
Malicious.
Each time I would have that in print, you would read it, and you read it right away.
Josiah's parents didn't take as big a gamble as you might think. Before Josiah left for snowy Michigan and the AVKO Reading Foundation's free reading clinic, they read McCabe's autobiography to teach a dyslexic. And they also began using one of McCabe's books. If it is to be, it's up to me to do it. This book helps parents to teach reading through spelling. This seemed to work for Josiah, so they bought into the premise that it takes one to teach one, and they decided to speed up the process. Did it work?
That malicious thing, And he held that up. I had no idea what that word. I can honestly say. I mean, I was just, and then I read malicious, and then I just kind of saw a gleam in his eyes. And wait a minute, and that's just so cool. Now that I see malicious, I can instantly identify that word now, and it's awesome. I mean, I've never been able to do something like that. It's like finding a skill that you never had.
The problem is not with your dyslexic mind. You have a logical mind, a bright mind, and you need the answers. And unfortunately, some of the answers that are given in the schools are wrong. And I don't blame the schools, really, because the schools are at the mercy of two types of organizations: the publishers and the college experts. And unfortunately, that's where the problem really lies, is with the college experts. I hate to say that, but it's true. Publishers try, for the most part, besides trying to make money, if they're going to have a new book or a new series on spelling or whatever, they want to have an expert be the author. And they call up the local university and ask who is the expert, and have them more or less write it. Of course, actually, the experts generally don't. They have their graduate students do a lot of the real work for them. But I don't think there's a single expert at the college level who even knows of the existence of this book. They do not know where they can find all of the words in the English language that follow this pattern, or any other of the fancy patterns. And this is what I'm going to be doing here, is teaching you the patterns that you were never taught in school. You will be relearning some of the simple patterns. And even on some of the simple patterns, like we had earlier today, when we were talking about the in pattern, you will now do something automatically that a lot of students never learn to do. To spell the inning sound by, even though you can spell win, we are not really taught much about this. This will become automatic for you to always spell inning with a double N.
Okay.
So that's another thing that we will be covering. But it's the learning the patterns that are not taught. The patterns that come from the Greek, for example. The k sound we teach is a C, or a K, or a CK, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the schools don't teach the CH being a k sound. First sound in the word Christ is what? CH. Not a ch, a k. Whether it's Christ, or Christian, or Christmas, or let's take, better yet, a word misspelled by so many people, ache. It's from the Greek. It's a medical word. Almost every medical word has some phonics from the Greek. Whether they're having a chronic cough, it'll be a CH.
Mm-hmm.
Any ecumenical word, religious word, CH to the K sound. That's not taught in the school systems. And perhaps the biggest reason is because, again, they don't know about the existence where you can teach all of these things at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Nor do they know the number of these words. Well, do you think you're going to be able to learn here?
Yeah.
Okay, I think so too.
I want to be able to get my college education. I want to be able to I can already pick up and read a book, but I want to be able to, at least, write down a resume, and even be able to, write a letter to somebody, because my friends always wonder why I don't write to them. It's like, well...
Josiah's progress in such a short time should not be of any surprise. McCabe has taught hundreds of folks of all ages in one-on-one sessions, and thousands more have learned to read through teachers who use his materials and teaching philosophy. Now Josiah, too, is learning the lesson.